Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, happy Wednesday and welcome back to another episode of the Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Nigel Wilkins, along with Craig Sager. We got a lot in store for you guys today. We'll catch up with Don Corr in our second segment, go over the latest with the traditional wrestling championships being this weekend, baseball and softball that are coming up now here in the spring sports. Also to get into some girls basketball rankings, we'll catch up with Hayden with a Bass Fishing 101 in our final segment and also some fast break headlines. But Craig, I want to start with the headliner for today, and I want to ask you about Coach Vandegrift. Obviously, he's leaving. Obviously, came out with his book, but he's going to be leaving for Knoxville. What's just your early thoughts on that, going to another state?
Yeah, so one of the best coaches we've had in the state. Obviously, the news came out this week. Pretty big shakeup, but you have John Rick taking over, a guy that went to Prince Avenue Christian, the son of Mark Richt. They're very happy about that. Coach Vandegrift, though, to me, he's been a coach within the state of Georgia that has brought I wouldn't necessarily use the word revolutionary, but he's definitely shaking things up. His air raid offenses, what he was able to do at Prince Avenue Christian, and then you start to look at some of the other stops he made. I remember when he was on the show talking to us, he talked about those battles he used to have at Woodward Academy, going up against Coach Guess over the years there. He's been around the block, and then he also went to Tennessee Tech, so he's familiar with that state. I think we usually see all the great coaches coming to Georgia from other states. Now you have one of the best leaving Georgia, going to Tennessee. I think he's really going to elevate the entire state with his movement there.
Yeah, obviously, and then you look at Tennessee in the recruiting class, obviously very elite defensive back. So it'll be interesting to see where, obviously, he continues to coach, obviously, at the next level, and continue to see what he's able to contribute for the Tennessee program. I can't wait. Obviously, we're going to miss him here in Georgia. Did a fantastic job with, obviously, Prince Avenue Christian, getting them to state championships and guiding them. Seemed like they was almost in there every year, Craig.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And just a fun team to watch. If you watch them, they were so well-conditioned. Coach Rick talked about it a little bit yesterday, just how they're able to install their system early on in the season, knowing that it's going to evolve and they're going to be able to add dynamics. I think that's what made them so impressive. Some of the runs they were able to go through, teams that made adjustments at the half of their state championship games. I know that one against Swainsboro, just really impressive what he was able to do at that school. And really, I mean, in 2008, back when he was first getting started in Coach John Rick, it's hard for me to call him Coach Rick. When he was there, I mean, that school, no one had even heard of it. Now it's a household name. But, I mean, Coach Vandegrift, he has been around a lot of great programs. And an interesting point about him, when he was at Tennessee Tech, he was on the same coaching staff as Mike Smith, the former Atlanta Falcons head coach.
That's pretty cool. It's cool. I have a quick story about that. I actually got the chance to see Coach Mike Smith. I ended up going to a training camp way back in the day with Flowery Branch, and I remember I had a ball, a Falcons ball, way back when I was young, though. I was like probably 4 or 5, and getting it signed by Mike Smith, all the Atlanta greats, obviously Roddy White, Matt Ryan, Michael Turner. Super cool going. So pretty cool story.
Yeah, Mike Smith was one of my favorites, and when I first got to Score, this was around like 2011. He was one of the first NFL head coaches I ever got to interview. I just thought he was such a funny guy. He really was. Just very jovial, didn't take himself too serious, just felt happy to be there. And then obviously his career at Tennessee Tech, that's where he got started. And a lot of interesting connections right there. But just back to the point with Coach Vandegrift. This is different because this is one of our best coaches in Georgia going to another state, and we usually see it the other way. So I think it's a big deal for the entire state of Tennessee. We'll certainly shake things up there.
100%. All right, guys, it is now time for our fast break headlines, so let's go ahead and pull it up. I'll get us started. Xavier Tiller, 4-star decommits from Texas A&M. On 3 have this story, a huge deal here in the state, obviously reported by On 3's Hayes Fawcett. He's been pledged to the Aggies since November 4th. He recently visited Auburn during a big recruiting weekend for the Tigers in late January. Tiller is the nation's number 133 overall prospect in the 2026 cycle, according to On 3 industry ranking, a weighted average that utilizes all 4 major recruiting media companies. He is the number 8 tight end in the class and number 19 recruit from the state of Georgia. So he now reopens his commitment, which is very interesting. Got a chance to see him at the Under Armour camp, but just getting started. But obviously Texas A&M decommits, and I heard a lot of SEC schools are very high on him. I heard Auburn is making a strong push for him.
Yeah, and we covered it during signing day, just mentioning how well the ACC did compared to the SEC in the numbers. And we're looking at schools like Texas A&M, LSU, Mizzou, teams that typically were able to recruit from Georgia. We thought they had one, but now decommit. So something's going on there. They need to get their footprints in Georgia. That's a big opening for Tiller. We'll see where he ends up. But let's go to headline 2 real quick. Another former coach that has now gotten a new job. This is going to be Brookwood's Phillip Jones. He has been hired at Jackson County. Jackson County, to me, is a very intriguing program. They have Corey Mobbs as head coach, the former Lanier coach that actually went out of state, returned to Georgia, and Jackson County is on the up and up for sure. I think they're one of the biggest challengers to the teams like Gainesville, and I guess Milton's in that region too. Jackson County is trying to compete with them. Bringing Coach Jones on is going to be great for that coaching staff. He comes over 10 past seasons at Brookwood. It's not too far of a drive. And then he'll be coaching the offensive line and serving as the assistant head coach. Would be great to see him back on the sidelines. And then I really like that team next year for the Panthers. Should be an interesting team to watch.
100%. All right, I'll take headline 3. Mark Richt, obviously the dad of John Richt, who just ended up being a head coach. He has some really great quote on his son. He said, "I remember visiting the school and the coach had been there a long time." Rick recalled Tuesday to Athens Banner Herald. "I kind of envied his lifestyle, being able to plant roots and being part of the community. John's getting to do that." John is his son, who on Monday was named Prince Avenue's head coach after a 5-year run as the school's offensive coordinator. In that span, he helped lead the Wolverines to 3 state titles, a pair of runner-up finishes. He also takes over for Greg Vandergriff, who we just mentioned. Craig stepped down after a 9-year run, 107-16 record. He said, "Sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for," Mark Richt said. "A lot of coaches think that's what you want to do, but I know just as many that want to get out of it. That's the kind of thing, that's the kind of envy a guy in a position like John as well." So some great quotes there. Last one I'll talk about is, "I think that he loves the Lord and he wants to do whatever the Lord has in mind for him, so to speak," said Mark. "I think he went day by day doing the best he could with where God has him and sees what happens." Very similar to how my career went.
Yeah, I mean, just a great story for that entire family. And I was talking to Hayden about it. I can say this without a doubt. Coach Mark Richt was the nicest coach I ever played for. Will John be that same nice coach on the sideline? Obviously, I think he's a great guy, loves his community, loves his team, loves his school. But, man, they've got some tough games this upcoming year. I think they need an enforcer, or maybe John has that in him. We'll see. We will see.
All right, Craig, you got headline 4.
Okay, let me pull this up real quick. So the baseball season has started. Armucci, Model, Pepperell have all started the season with wins. It's all out of the Rome area. Senior Luke Lively struck out 8 batters and stole home for the go-ahead run in Armucci's 1-0 shutout over Murray County. They got that game in on Monday before the weather these last few days. Lively, who pitched 4 innings of a 2-hit ball game as Armucci's starting pitcher, singled to start the 4th inning, stole second after ball to advance to third on a Noah Rayburn single. Good overall win for them. And then obviously Luke Lively's performance at the plate and on the mound. It's a good way for him to start his senior season. That was Armucci winning 1-0. You had Model beating Christian Heritage, who I had in the top 10 at number 9 of the private poll. Big win for Model. Model's also ranked. They won 4-1. They took a 2-1 lead in the 2nd inning against Christian Heritage after Landon Mitchell scored from second on a Reese Groudman infield single. And then 2 runs in the 7th inning were just a bonus. And then you had Woodland defeating Rome 14-0. Rome was run ruled in 5 innings. J.D. Lanier and Bryce Patty earned the team's only 2 hits. And then Rome had to use 5 pitchers in that game, even though it was only 5 innings. So big wins for Woodland also. You can check out the Week 1 baseball rankings. They're up at scoreatl.com, and I'm sure they will be shifting quite a bit now that we have some games.
100%. Our final headline for today, Chase Allen named Region Player of the Year from Model. He was named 6th Region 6 1A Division I Boys Basketball Player of the Year. He's one of 4 model players of 8 local players named to Region 6 1A All-Region team. In total, 20 local players were named to the All-Region teams for Region 6 and 7, boys and girls. All-Region teams for 6 Class A Division 1, girls and boys, have not yet been fully announced. So congratulations to him. Obviously, great career, and obviously named Region Player of the Year.
Yep. And it says in total 20 local players made that all-region team. I believe Model had 4 players of the 8 that were on that all-region team, first and second, so they will be a team to watch for sure. For me, I want to just point out real quick, my Class 6A blog yesterday really broke down the region tournaments and what this week's going to look like. So you had most of them got started on Friday or Saturday. The latest region to get going was in South Georgia with Region 1. The girls got started Monday, boys on Tuesday. And those first round games, because the 1 seed and 2 seed had the bye, they automatically secured the playoff spots. But those first games were for a playoff berth. We've seen them advance. They will conclude their region championships on Saturday, but then we have Wednesday tonight. We're going to have Lambert's region in Region 6. They will be playing for the region title tonight. We got some coming up on Thursday, but really it's going to be Friday and Saturday for all of Class 6A. You can look at the schedule right there and see what teams have already clinched their playoff spots.
Before we obviously close out this segment, any team you're most excited to see?
Well, I haven't seen any upsets yet. I mean, I think last year what we saw with Grayson and even the year before, do you remember when they were trying to make that run to the finals and some kid during PE class kicked the ball, hit the sprinkler, and they had to play all their games on the road in the playoffs?
Yes.
I think they're a team that wants to play at home now that they have that taken care of. So, I mean, it's a big deal when they go up against these teams like Newton again. The region tournament is very important. They know they've already secured the spot, advancing to the semis on the bye, but fumbling it and not getting the number 1 seed would be something that would weigh on them throughout the playoffs, knowing that, oh man, we have to go on the road. So it's a big deal for them as the favorite in Class 6A to secure that number 1 seed and know that they're the defending champs. It's going to come through them.
100%. All right, guys, it's going to conclude segment 1. Coming up, we will catch up with Don and Corr, just talk the latest with the wrestling state championship coming up this weekend.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Remember that you guys can watch the show via the Peachtree Sports Network on YouTube TV, CBS Sports local streaming app, Zine, also on the Atlanta News First streaming app. But we have Don Corr ready to go, so let's go ahead and bring him on to talk the latest. How you doing today, Mr. Don?
Doing great. Just getting down and making, and we're starting to set up and to load in, and some exciting times ahead of us next 3 days.
Yes, sir. And speaking of, I swore I wanted to start with you. Just traditional wrestling state championships are this weekend. So how excited are you to see all these great athletes just compete at a high-end level?
Well, it's really good. This is an unbelievable event. Just because you got 12 matches going on, you got 12 winners every 6-7 minutes, and so it's a great event. So much going on, so much for people to watch, and these athletes are really competitive. It's as good as you get in high school sports. So.
And then can you talk about just a little bit about the schedule, just when action is supposed to commence, on Friday and when everything kicks off?
All right, we'll start tomorrow with 4 classifications, and it will be all boys tomorrow. And weigh-ins are at 7. We start wrestling at 9, and so we'll have 4 classifications, and we'll wrestle until about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We'll end, and we'll have wrestlers come back the next day at 3 o'clock from those classifications. They'll be in prime time. They'll weigh in at 3, and we'll start 5 or 6 with the championship round that night. During the day on Friday, we'll have 2 boys classes, and then we'll have the girls. So we'll have 3 classifications going on at that time on 12 mats, and then they'll wrestle until they're finished and get to a point, and then their championships will all be on Saturday. So it's real exciting. A lot of good athletes. I think we're going to crown 98 state champions on Friday night and Saturday combined. So.
And then I want to ask you just a little bit about, like, with your experience. Obviously, you're in charge of, softball, baseball, and wrestling. What makes just wrestling such unique from the other sports that you're in charge of and, that you're responsible for?
It's a great spectator sport. Just imagine, in football, you got time between plays. In baseball, you got time between pitches and everything. But when you come to this wrestling event, you got 12 mats, and something's going on one of the mats at all times for about 12 hours tomorrow. So there's something to see. There's excitement the whole time you're here watching. It's just an unbelievable event. 12 mats, and you just run one match after another, and eventually get to crown all the state championships.
Yeah, Dom, what I love about the traditional, because you're going to get to see the individual state champs, you're going to get to see the team winners, whoever gets the most points, but what's different about that is when it's the duels, you have the teams going through the bracket, they can fall into the loser's bracket, you kind of know who's in contention, who's going to be first, who's going to be second. Now it's about the individual weight classes, so the focus is really on like each individual match, and then you got to add it up at the end. Does it feel a little different in terms of just the excitement, knowing that it's not as simple to follow during the traditional to know who's going to win, where something's a little more at stake in each match?
Well, yeah, and that's part of the excitement. We don't really have a seeding for this. We have 2 sectionals, so they come in from different sectionals, and the 1 versus the 8, 1 from one sectional versus the 8 from another sectional, we crisscross them, and we hope that the 2 best wrestlers don't meet up early. But so it's exciting. It's like 98 state champions, so there's going to be a lot of excitement in getting to 98 state champions between the boys and the girls. It's unique, and it's really an individual tournament, but the teams with the most wrestlers here have a chance at a state championship too. Now, some might only have 1 or 2 wrestlers. They don't have a chance at that, but yeah, so they got an opportunity to win an individual as an individual wrestler, and then their team can win a state championship as well. So, yes.
And then what's it been exciting about just watching the girls sport take off and then being able to bring them to Macon also, and just what have you seen just with the growth of that side?
Well, the girls event's really grown. We're over 2,300 wrestlers this year. So we've grown since our first year. We had only about 500 when we started it. I was part of the starting girls wrestling and the initial state championship we had for girls. So that was great, and to see to where we are today. And it's going to be even bigger next year. We could go over 3,000 girl wrestlers next year, and we're looking forward to it. The girls have grown so much. We do 2 team championships, dual team championships, because of the difference in size of our schools. So we have a lower classification for our smaller schools and an upper classification for our larger schools for that. So girls, the only difference right now is that we only have 1 class for girls. So we hope that it'll grow and they'll be in the 2 classes one day soon. So.
And then in terms of opportunities for these kids to go on and wrestle in college, I know when I've looked at it, it seems like they go to a lot of other states. There's not maybe a lot of wrestling programs in Georgia, but I mean, how big of a deal is it just with all the great talent in the state for these kids to achieve that goal of being a state champ?
Well, it's a good thing, and we get pretty good recruitment here. We have a lot of our wrestlers that go on and wrestle in college. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this year we had, or was it last year? Last year we had a Georgia wrestler win NCAA title. So we have become recognized on that stage as well as wrestlers being from Georgia. So we think it's big here. We think our coaches do an unbelievable job. We think our support staff with the ATA, Atlanta Takedown Association, do an unbelievable job. So we're really happy with everything and what goes on here. And it's an unbelievable event. I came from a state that didn't have wrestling. They do now. So I never got to see it till I came to Georgia, but it's a lot of excitement. And it's a lot for everybody to see all day long.
And Don, I just want to ask you a little bit. I know obviously wrestling is paramount currently right now, especially with the state championships. But I know slow soft pitch is coming up as well, and I also know that baseball is coming up or has actually already started. Just talk about those sports a little bit. I know you're responsible for those as well.
Yeah, well, slow pitch softball starts I think this coming Monday, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it right in front of me. And then the baseball started Monday, and then the weather came in yesterday, so we haven't had much baseball played. But yes, we're doing well, and we're looking forward to good things out of both of those. We're going to have just a state tournament with 16 slow pitch teams, and then we'll have our regular brackets with baseball, and we'll crown 8 state champions there.
And then real quick on state championships, will it be kind of the same that you guys had, the same model as you guys had last year? Will it kind of be all spread out?
Yes, on baseball, yes, they will be kind of spread out. We will be at Georgia Southern, we'll be at Rome, and we'll be at Coolray. The Rome Emperor Stadium and Coolray, the Gwinnett Striper Stadium, will be in those 3 spots, 3 at Rome, championships at Rome, 3 at Coolray, and 2 at Georgia Southern. So that's where we're going with that, and it's exciting times. We got a lot of great baseball in this state as well, a lot of great softball.
Yes, sir, certainly. Well, Mr. Don, that's all the time that we have for today. Wish you the best, and thanks so much for coming on to talk about wrestling, and enjoy yourself down there in Macon.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
No problem. All right, guys, coming up, we will have an exclusive interview with Will Fields talking to Justin Miller of Milton. Don't miss it. Come right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back. We're here with NFL legend Justin Miller and current coach at Milton High School. Just going to go ahead and pull him on and ask him a few questions. How you doing, Coach Miller?
Doing well. I'm doing well, man. How you doing today? How you guys out there?
Oh, no, we're doing great. We're doing great. Thanks again for spending time with us today. And I just wanted to jump right into it, if that's cool with you.
Oh, definitely, man. Let's have some fun.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit about the time between your playing career in the NFL and your time coaching in high school, and kind of what made you want to take that route?
Just for me, you know, getting out of football, kind of finding my way and kind of thinking, what did I want to do on the next level after football? I kind of got involved with training some kids, doing some sports performance stuff for those kids. And, you know, I got asked to, you know, train a kid on defensive back techniques and things like that. A good friend of mine, Ray Buchanan, was coaching at FBU, doing a camp series with them guys. And he brought me over. And it kind of just, you know, kind of was a great marriage for me. I think, you know, I was able to be involved in the sport, still keep it fun, keep it exciting, and put my competitive edge into, you know, our youth that were growing up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I saw that you started in high school at Pace Academy. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, so what was your experience like that coming straight out of your legendary playing career?
I mean, it was good. I think it was a good learning experience for me. Just introduction into football in Georgia. You know, I was from Kentucky originally, so learning the landscape of football here, kind of seeing what talent was like there, being able to coach kids and being able to motivate them, and just understand that every kid was different, and there was something that you had to try to do to encourage and motivate that kid, and it was great. And it felt, you know, it felt good seeing them accomplish things, get all region, get all state. And get those accomplishments, you know, for the hard work that they put in. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Now, a lot of the times when it comes down to players who themselves were great players, extremely talented individuals, some people, you know, struggle with teaching others, and other people excel at showing them how to get to where they got. So what kind of challenges did you face or have to overcome, you know, first entering into coaching?
I think it's first entering into coaching, one of the biggest challenges is the kids being able to trust you. You know, because if a kid doesn't trust you, it's hard for them to we're able to tell you things, kind of what bothers them, what's their triggers, and things like that. You know, one of my coaches taught me early in the game, he was like, you know, you got to find out about your kids, you know, find out what triggers them, you know, what pushes them, what motivates them. You know, if they're not having a good day, then, you know, what do we say and things like that. I know we always had a code word in our room was Monica, like if you was having a bad day, because, you know, it was just one of those days. It was Monica's song. So we would all say that in the room, and everybody was like, okay, cool, Justin's having a day. Let's just go on. Let's be positive. Let's keep him going. But just understand he having a day. And like, you know, that worked well for me, and I still try to give that to my athletes now and give them an ability to communicate with me. And I think that's one of those things that's helped me.
100%, 100%. Now, when it comes down to it, obviously, Milton is a powerhouse. It's a top 2 program in the whole nation, right? So what kind of attracted you to their program, and how do you think you yourself have contributed to, you know, some of that perennial success?
Well, for me personally, I had 2 kids there that I had been training since they were younger. Bryce Thornton, who's now at the University of Florida, and Dylan Lewis, who is now at University of Tennessee. So both of those guys were, you know, had a big influence on me, and asked me after, you know, I left Pace Academy, you know, would I be interested in coming to Milton? And I met with Coach Reeves, Coach Sly, who was our AD at the time. And, you know, they made it feel like home. And also, one of my real good friends in this coaching industry, not just in coaching, but in life, Terrence Edwards, you know, he was also in transition because we coached together at Milton, at Pace Academy at the time. And we both were in that fork in the road where we're like, what are we going to do? And, you know, Milton embraced us, and it brought us in. It let us be ourselves and let us bring our fire, our coaching, our knowledge, our expertise to them. So,
Gotcha.
You know, I think it was a great marriage at that.
I hear you. So did you always see yourself going into coaching after your playing career, or is that something you kind of figured your way into?
Nah, honestly, I did. My mother always said, oh, you'll be a great coach. You should be coaching. You should be coaching at, at your high school, at Clemson and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wasn't, I wasn't really wooed by the idea of it at the time. I think it took some me getting involved in it, me coaching kids and seeing that there was a void of good coaching and solid coaching in this industry. And I felt obligated that was my calling to do that.
Okay, fair enough. Now, before we let you go, I do have to ask you just one question. Does the NFL's fastest man from 2007, does he ever test out the wheels on the young kids on the squad?
Yeah, I give him about 10 to 15 yards. That's it. They always try to get me to go 40. I'm like, nah. If I pass 15, that's when that hamstring gonna tighten up. Everything gonna pull.
I hear you.
10, 15 yards. That's it.
Well, hey, Coach, I appreciate your time. It's wonderful having you. And just thanks again for spending time with us and answering a few questions for me.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right, guys, welcome back. So a great interview by our Corr Atlanta intern, Will Fields, with obviously Justin Miller. And a couple things stand out when you look at that interview. Obviously, him talking about Terrence Edwards, him having an impact on him as far as coaching goes. Milton taking an opportunity on him when he was coming over from Pace Academy. But those guys that you trained, it's not talked about. But when we go back and look at that state championship, the Hughes offense was hot the whole first half. Completely shut them down. I mean, that had to do with obviously C.J. Wiley getting some reps in there, Dylan Lewis, who we talked about in the interview, Tyler Redmond. But really an underrated part of that Milton team was their secondary. But every time you knew when they went up against guys, they shut them down. Same thing. Obviously, Houston County had a great run, but Antoine Hill struggled against that Milton defense too. So he really trained a great group.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And what I liked about the way they won this year, you saw at the halftime, that was the interview. Yeah, we looked great. We got to fix the defense. This is not who we are. And sure enough, they come out in the second half, completely locked them down. And that's also such a credit to them because when you're a cornerback and you get beat a couple times, obviously Hughes has ridiculous speed, had a great quarterback. Maurice Gleaton was going off. But sometimes it's hard to continue to trust in yourself if you're getting beat. Sometimes you want to blame it on the safety for not coming over and helping. We didn't see any of that.
No.
They came out, they looked like Milton the second half. It's a credit to the coaching staff, but also just their training, knowing that they had the ability to be great in that second half and shut them down.
100%. How about that last part when you asked him if you could still run with your guys, he's still running, those 40s, but he said, nah, about 10, 15, and the hammy kind of, pulls up a little bit. But how cool is that just to have a coach that still want to interact and, be personable with you?
It is. It's huge. And that's why, another reason why Milton is so successful. Their ability as a coaching staff to train these kids, but also the experience they have. The kids trust them. They know how to train right. And sometimes it's okay to put your pride aside. Maybe you could go out there, push it, humble these kids a little bit, but you want to save that hamstring, live to fight another day.
No, 100%. Obviously, once again, man, just a great interview by our own Corr Atlanta intern, Will Fields. Really enjoyed it. Catching up with Milton, obviously, they've been busy, and we know offseason is going to start. New players will come in, so I'm sure we'll have their coach on to talk all about that. But that's going to conclude this segment. Coming up, we will talk the latest with the girls' basketball rankings and take a quick peek at some of the region matchups coming up.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting six figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're going to do this together. We're one for all for one. college just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So now it is time to talk the latest with our girls basketball rankings. Obviously, our rankings came out on Monday, so we're going to take a quick peek at it. And Craig, we'll go ahead and start with 6A at the top. Obviously, I do the girls. I have North Forsyth. They finished their second consecutive season, Craig, 25-0. They've been impressive. Landon Weaver, she was named Region 6 6A Player of the Year, and their head coach, Brad Coolis, was named Region 6 6A Coach of the Year, followed by, obviously, North Paulding, Grayson, Newton, and Campbell. What's interesting, too, I put Newton top 4, Craig. They've beaten Archer multiple times. They've looked good. They look like they could be dangerous. But a sleeper here, not to get it twisted, is number 7, Carrollton. I know they're at the bottom, but they also picked up a win against Langston Hughes this year as well. I know them just their second loss of the year.
Absolutely. And Carrollton, they will be playing Westlake coming up for that Region 2 championship. I think that should be on Thursday. So they've already clinched the playoff spot. They've already advanced to the finals. Big opportunity for a team that's coming on hot late. And then there's some other interesting ones. Obviously, on your rankings, we've been talking about Lowndes as are they the best team out of that South Georgia region? They'll have an opportunity to get that number 1 seed, force all these Atlanta schools to make that long trip. It'll be a tough road trip for any of those teams going down there. And then as for North Forsyth, they had that bye into the semifinals where they had the playoff spot already guaranteed. 4 teams left. They played Denmark, won that one 70-35. Now they're going to face Lambert, and that will allow them the opportunity to close that perfect season, run through the region, and really be prepared for the playoffs.
100%. And the big matchup tonight will be Buford versus Mill Creek. Isabella Ragone obviously going up against that Buford team that's 22-2, so that'll be an interesting matchup tonight.
One more good one. You got Brookwood and Norcross. I know they've had some really great battles the last few seasons.
Yes.
Teams look a lot different, but that is always a great rivalry.
100%. All right, let's go to 5A now. At the top for me, I obviously have River Ridge as my number 1 team, followed by Langston Hughes, Woodward Academy, Milton, and Morrow. Here, Creekside finishes the regular season undefeated, 97-33. India Dennis has been spectacular this year. She's averaging 20.1 points per game. Warner Robins is a team you can't sleep at. I know some will obviously talk about this. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at 4A. Excuse me, guys. Okay, no. Number 1, River Ridge, finished at the top. Obviously, 83-52 victory over Woodstock. Then you have Hughes, Woodward Academy, Milton, and Morrow. The key here, though, Craig, is all these teams have been there. River Ridge has won a state championship. Hughes has been great every year. Woodward Academy's been knocking on the door. And Milton's an underrated pick. But a team I want everybody to watch out for is Coffee. Coffee only has 1 loss all year long, so they're going to be a team to continue to watch for.
Yeah, River Ridge, I think they definitely have been the favorites. Langston Hughes, a very athletic team. River Ridge has an intriguing region right now, though. You look at it, you got Creekview in there. They're going to face a Lassiter team that I think was the number 7 seed going into the tournament. They just beat Pope in overtime, so they're going to make the playoffs. Pope's out. They're going to face Creekview. Creekview is at your number 7 right now, so that's the top 10 matchup. And then you got, I believe it's going to be Sequoia facing River Ridge. That's a game where River Ridge has obviously swept Sequoia this season, but it is going to be for a spot in that finals.
For sure. All right, 4A, the one I was talking about, the top is obviously Creekside. They've been great all season long, so they ended up finishing the regular season undefeated against India Dennis. Has been spectacular. She's averaging 20.1 points per game so far this year. They also had the Coach of the Year as well. Marist, Warner Robins, Kell, and Norfolk Coney rounded out the top 5. Marist, obviously, I put over Warner Robins. I know Warner Robins is undefeated, but Marist has that pedigree. They've been there. Had the best player in the country in Kate Harpering, who just came off an Iowa visit. Obviously, Iowa Faithful is loving that. Then Jones County, Midtown, Jackson, Atlanta, Ware County, and Dalton is going to round out the poll. Jones County defeated Stockbridge 67-51 and knocked them out of the poll. And Dalton obviously makes their debut before the postseason, finishing the regular season 22-3.
Yep, very exciting classification in general. We know what Marist can do. They have the star power. You mentioned Warner Robins. They're undefeated. They're going to play Ware County tonight for the region championship. They handle business against Perry. The same situation. They advance with the bye to the semifinals. They only have to win 2 games. They beat Perry 76-38. So we know how good the Marist defense is. We know how athletic some of these teams are. Who is going to emerge as one of the more high-scoring teams, a team that can shoot from outside and bring that offensive firepower that you're going to need against teams like Marist, where their best player, Kate Harpering, not only is she a great offensive threat, but really is also key to that defense that routinely holds teams to under 40 points.
100%. All right, let's go to 3A now. At the top, I have Pickens, followed by Jefferson. Pickens picked up wins over Johnson, Gainesville, and Dawson County. Finished the regular season on a 7-game winning streak. Jefferson defeated Cherokee Bluff and knocked them out of the poll. Luella, Fayette County, Oconee County have been also impressive this year. Obviously, Jefferson, Oconee County has faced off several times so far. Baldwin is a team I went back and forth on, Craig, because the same thing. They have the pedigree. They've been there. They've done that. That could be a team you could see make a Final Four run, especially with Janiyah Walker and their head coach, Kissy Walker. They do a really good job. So that's a team I kind of want to highlight here as well as a team to continue to watch for. And obviously 10 new on here is Monroe. And Monroe has a very special player, Keandria Acree, who is a really good sophomore. She's averaging 30 points a game.
Wow, that is significant. The other thing, real quick, in 3A, you mentioned the pedigree of a team like Baldwin that has either been in the finals or come up just short to teams like Griffin. Luella, that is a team that's had a lot of success in 4A the last few years. They had to replace a lot of, I think last season was one where it was really tough. They pretty much lost all their starters. They're at number 3 right now, and I would not count them out. They are a tremendous program. They always have a group of girls on the court. It doesn't matter if it's the center, the point guard. They all have great handles. They're aggressive. They play very tough defense. I think Luella is a team where once they get in the playoffs, they are definitely a headache for any opponent.
100%. All right, guys, let's go to 2A now. And at the top is obviously Josie. They reclaimed the top spot heading into the region tournament and beyond into the postseason. They defeated Thompson, number 2, 55-37 this past week. Thompson ends the regular season winning 13 of his last 14 contests, followed by Murray County, Sonoraville, and Butler. The top 5, Craig, is so interesting because really any one of those teams can make a run. Josie's obviously been kind of the standard of this 2A, but Thompson has showed they could be Josie. Josie could be Thompson. Obviously, Butler's a team that's in that same region that can show that they can make deep runs. Murray County's been spectacular all year long. And then Tatnall County is my other team to watch out for that's kind of towards the bottom of the rankings. But they are a very good team, very complete, have a lot of senior leadership.
Yeah, I see that region 4. That's one that theoretically they will go into the power rating system, but that's one where you look at they have an opportunity to sweep their way through the first round. Obviously, they might even have 4 teams seeded in the top 15, but it's going to be interesting. You've got Josie and Butler. They're going to face tomorrow. That's in the semifinals. Then you'll have, I believe, Thompson against Laney. So one of those teams will likely fall down the seeding just because, I mean, whoever loses that is going to go into the consolation game. So one of those teams in your top 6 is going to be on the road for the majority of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good point out, Craig. All right, let's go to Class A Division 1 at the top. Elbert County, they've been impressive. They defeated this past week Moxie North Donovan Catholic 67-2 and Commerce 41-25 to finish the regular season 23-2. Fannin County, Central Macon, Model, and Lamar County round out the poll. Washington County, Hurt County, Bates County, Vidalia, and East Lawrence round out the poll as well. Temple slid out of the poll for me, and I made Vidalia have their debut for what they've been able to do this season.
So, yeah, they were a team that debuted in your final rankings. Once again, this is going to be a power ratings classification. So it is huge not only to finish in the top 2 out of the region tournament, but every win in some of these larger regions, like your region, I think it's region 3 or 2. I mean, that's a 10-team region. So even making it to the quarterfinals, that's going to benefit you. And we'll see where the chips fall once the power ratings are set out. But if you want to guarantee a playoff spot, you've got to get into that finals.
For sure. All right, let's go to Class A Division 2 quickly. At the top, I have Taylor County. They stand as the top team heading into the region tournament playoffs, followed by Bryan County, Wilcox County, Macon County, and Telfair County to round out the top 5. Wilcox County defeated number 5 Telfair County in the top 5 clash this past week. Seminole County, Screven County, Randolph Clay, Brooks County, and Early County round out the top 10. All right, let's go to private really quick. All right, at the top there you have obviously Hebron Christian. They've been impressive so far this year. They finished 24-1, Craig, after picking up a win against Franklin County 82-14. Daniel Oshu led the way, finishing with a double-double, scoring 20 points and 10 rebounds. Then you got St. Francis, who I've been high on all year. Can't forget about Mount Perrin. Southwest Atlanta Christians have been impressive, and Holly Innocence rounding out the 5, followed by Galloway, Athens Academy, Providence Christian, Lovett, and Prince Avenue Christian. So, Craig, as we round up, I did want to mention a little bit about Holly Innocence, a team that's number 5. They have Haley Swain. She's been impressive so far this year. I think they have a really good team that can potentially compete at a high-end level. And then I think the other team is St. Francis. Them going up against Hebron Christian will be another, really interesting matchup. And Hebron, doing this without Gabby Minus, without Aubrey Beckham, has been impressive.
Yes, it has. And once again, these teams will be in their own respective region tournaments. Some of them are in Class 2A, some of them are Class A Division I, and then they're all going to come in the same classification. Should be great.
Yes, it should. All right, guys, that's going to conclude this segment. Coming up, we will have Bass Fishing 101 with Hayden Gilbert. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Najee Wilkins along with Craig Sager, and we have Hayden Gilbert on to give us a tutorial, give us kind of a teachable moment, obviously, about bass fishing 101. So we had to bring him on here. Obviously, Hayden, you are an expert in this. So what's your thoughts on the results from this past weekend? What stood out to you the most?
What stood out to me the most is, so every year that we've had bass fishing, they've fished at least one tournament at Lake Oconee. And this by far was I think because of the interesting weather, the unseasonably warm weather, the bags that they brought in were a lot heavier than they've ever been. And the two kids that won from Coffee County set the tournament record for the most weight that we've had up to this point.
And then in terms of, obviously, we had the first one that was canceled, Hayden, back, in January. Obviously, this one went through. The next qualifier is March 8th. So what do you think is kind of next as far as the kids, the boats getting there? What should we watch out for in the next qualifier?
So as we go through, because of how qualifying works in bass fishing, if you finish in the top so many boats, it depends on how many entrants there are, you're automatically make it to the state finals. Oh. So if you are one of those ones that's already made it, you don't have to fish the other, I believe, 3 remaining tournaments. Okay. So some of them will. Other ones will sit there and go, I'm already in. I'm ready. I'm going to go and start pre-fishing Lake Lanier. We're going to have a state championship tournament, and I'm going to learn everything I can between now and May for Lake Lanier.
Gotcha.
And then anybody that did make it in now has, because we have fewer tournaments, is going to be going down to Clark, so to the Augusta area, and figuring out what the fish are doing and if we're going to be at the spawn, if we're going to be before the spawn, which is when you really want to be fishing. One thing that we have that is interesting is Clarksville's been on the schedule since the second year, but it was always the final championship tournament. Now it's moved way forward, and anything that's really learned in those now 4 tournaments or 3 previous tournaments there, basically is going to have very little impact on what it's going to be like in the beginning of April.
Interesting. So, yeah, a team that qualified this last week, they could say, well, we want to fish again. Maybe that will help us. But if you're familiar with the lake itself, what else makes you a good bass fisher? Like during the day, is it, obviously patience is something, but how do you take advantage of that time, go out there and just have like a smart approach to it?
It's everything from having knowledge of what you're doing. To one of the huge things is confidence. When these guys that are really good bass fishermen, when they're really successful, most of them are confident to a fault. They're going to sit there and they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're either going to win by it or they're going to lose by it, but they're going to win a lot more. They're going to be successful a lot more than they are going to be unsuccessful, just because they know what they're doing and they're going to do that.
I was going to say, do you think that there should be an award each year for whoever qualifier or state championship gets the biggest overall haul?
I don't, for the sole reason of it's so, for example, like Lake Oconee last year, it was freezing cold. It was really hard fishing, so getting to 10 pounds was really, 10, 12 pounds was really impressive. It's why only 5 people did it. So those fishermen may be better fishermen than someone that this year had 12 pounds because they were able to fight through conditions that weren't particularly great, that were really tough to get that smaller bag of fish, but it's just as impressive.
And then obviously you covered the state championship last year when it came to bass fishing. So I know you were talking about an earlier point, like if you qualify now, you don't have to necessarily go to other tournaments, maybe unless you want to practice. But for the ones that qualify, how many are in the state championship?
So it varies. I believe that 25 at every tournament, 25 or so boats are in, no matter how many enter.
Okay.
I believe for every 10 boats over 100, they add an extra boat. So there's no set number, but there's a minimum of like 125 or so.
And then what's maybe a strategy you can use when there's 2 fishermen on a boat?
So in this case, so in certain types of tournaments you have where they're fishing separately and they're not connected. In this, because they both are in one team, they're both weighing in the same bag of fish. It just depends on what you like to do, and really a lot of times the better fisherman will be the one that kind of fishes from the front of the boat, that kind of does what he wants to do.
I want to ask you this about obviously bass fishing too. You talked about the confidence being important, knowing what you're doing. How important is experience doing it as well?
It's really important. That experience of this is when things aren't going right and you have to find something, especially as we get to the final tournament or two. That experience of I can go do this and catch an extra 2 or 3 pounds for my bag is really important, and it really makes a difference in making it past that cutoff line.
Got you. And then as we wrap up, obviously, this segment, what's been your favorite experience, obviously, bass fishing and going out with your dad or just anybody you've been out with and fished before? I think really during COVID, we were exiled because my mom was a nurse. We didn't get to stay at home. And we spent a lot of time out on the lake. We got to just spend this time, and it was just beautiful. We got all kinds of time. We got to spend just a lot of time together. Got you. So quality time.
Yeah.
Got you. Well, guys, that's going to do it for our Bass Fishing 101. Shout out to Hayden, obviously, for knowing more about this topic than us, definitely more than me, and teaching me some things as well. Obviously, I do a lot of the other sports, but credit to Hayden for giving us an inside look at how to be a great bass fisher. But coming tomorrow, we'll be right back here, same place, same time, 12 to 1 p.m. for our Friday Eve show. So make sure you come right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together, we can make a difference.